Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, we're good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode. There we go. I was just double checking because I looked it up right before we had started, but we didn't. So welcome to the 15th episode of the third season of Second Sons. As always, I am Roy Rogers, live from my apartment here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's Ala already went to bed, so there's nothing on my TV today in the apartment meta here. And I am joined by for the first time in a good long while, the full Second Sons cast. Live from an undisclosed location is Sandy Barnabas. So undisclosed he can't talk right now. And joining us are the what's the best way to put this? The Robespierre to Sandy's Jacobin movement would be Chris Schoenthal. How you doing, the champion of my heart? Chris.
Do you hear the people sing the songs of angry men? How's it going, everybody out there in podcast land? Hope we're all having a good night.
And recovered from Disney and managed to escape the Caribbean without a tan is Sid.
At least a shade darker. Half a shade.
You look like you're perennially blushing, but other than that,
I use that sunscreen liberally. I was lucky to avoid the hurricanes. Had a great time. Happy to be back. Work starts tomorrow. That's kind of a bummer. But before work is playtime tonight, so I'm excited to play with everybody.
And then the first victim of moderation guillotine, live. Barely from Sweden, just recently reattached his head, is Andreas. How you doing, Buzz?
Hello. It's the first time I get banned from something. It's cool.
You're so edgy, Buzz.
Yeah.
And then,
posting that explanation for Sandy.
Aaron Glazer does not get to speak in this segment, and he did
much
not
like
get
that old group.
Much like that old group, but he did not get banned. But then the Franz Ferdinand, the powder keg, the martyr of today, the man who kicked off a political sensation, our deep friend of the show, Wars to Come co-founder, all-around great guy. We are joined by Jesse Carpenter. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am well. The beard still looks great.
Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well.
Yeah.
Why do you think I wasn't banned? I was banned like 6th.
Were you banned 6? I thought you weren't actually banned. I thought you posted right before they stopped, or right after they stopped the crackdown. But I could be wrong. I don't know. A lot of shit was going on. It was all happening very fast.
The only cool part, as soon as I got banned, I was
getting a report that from his undisclosed location, Sandy Barnabas has arrived. Sandy, are you there?
Buzz is still telling me.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Is this a secure line?
This is a secure line. We will not be divulging where Barnabas, this well-known international internet terrorist, is currently holed up. The drones are out there looking for him. So please do not ask him too many questions.
Look at that anonymous wall behind him.
Okay. All right. So before we really jump in, though, to today, so we delayed. So just a good thing. We're a week off. We should have episode last week, but I was suffering from a mild case of depression and not wanting to do the episodes. And Aaron and Sandy were back. We're still recovering from Poland. It was a bad week. So we're back this week. And Sid was out of town. It was just
that's
a shit
the main
show.
reason.
Yeah, it was one of the main reasons. I do get depressed like when I don't get to hang out with Sid virtually. So anyway, so we bumped it to this week, and we were actually worried coming into this week that we weren't going to have enough stuff to talk about. And then some things happened. But before we could get, yeah, Buzz got us. Before we could really talk about those things, though, we really should talk about the positive things in the community right now, which is that everybody here, I think, well, Sid was off wishing Goofy well, so he'll sit out this. And Buzz, you didn't go to Fracas this year, right, Buzz?
No.
No, fuck him. I'm never going to Sweden in my life.
I went to our regionals. I'm sorry.
But
Yay.
Buzz went to a regional. There we go. So all
Y'all
of us
can
here
play
have
again,
attended
right?
tournaments recently. Chris, because you went to a regional, the one that Fred won, right?
I did the SoCal regional.
So let's give our mini tournament reports. Let's go throw it to the big international travelers here first. Sandy, Robespierre, Barnabas, Marx, Barnabas, Lenin, Barnabas, whichever revolutionary figure you want to name us. How was Poland, and why did you bring Glazer?
I needed somebody who could actually drink with me that whole weekend. So that was a very short list of people. I had my sister joined us too. Let's see, what else happened?
We drank until sunrise every night, and
and
I
those
played
sunrise
first edition.
pictures were very tasteful. I gotta say,
They were good. Every night at sunrise, we would get in the group chat. Glazer would be like, I don't know where the fuck I am. I'm drunk. And Sandy would be like, oh, you're fine. Well, I'll find you.
So, also notable, I believe only one group of people has ever swam in that river, and it's not me and Sandy. Who do you think jumped in the river?
Isian and Sandy's sister.
No. It wasn't this trip. However, I believe Isian is not in the group that jumped in the river.
No,
you're close, though.
Wama and them?
No, God, no. Wama's too upset.
There, was he?
Well, it
No,
was,
there's a playmat, I think, celebrating this incident.
It's Istvan.
Yes, and
I was there.
yeah, and
Chambers. Yeah.
Trig jumped in?
Trig, yeah. I was
Nice.
going in, but was stopped because the police, they saw the police coming and they checked all of our passports afterwards. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
So, besides river jumping, Sandy's sister disappearing, Glazer being up until dawn, what happened Thrones wise at this tournament?
I don't know. Some people played some decks. It was fine. I was playing Night's Watch. I should have won the melee, I think. I let Tomas take back an action, which I really shouldn't have done.
Of all people.
in melee in a tournament.
Like, everybody around me was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I can't believe
I was really tired.
Made a mistake, like in action. Was he playing Night's Watch?
No, he was not, and that's why.
That's fine. There you go. That's fine.
Was he playing like a soft version of Ladies Combo?
Yeah, basically.
I don't think it was
he
a
offered
soft version.
a bunch of peaches. What else happened? In Joust, I lost a bunch of Martell decks with the wall because I don't know how that works. I think other than that, I made the graduated cut and then lost to a deck that I'd beaten my first round of Swiss. So that sucked.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, but it was a good player. Like, it was a target deck that drew its answers against the wall. That was fine. Glazer, how did your tournament go?
All right, so I played
Martell Wolf.
I played Martell Wolf. Shit happened. No one cares. We've got too many viewers, and you know how I feel about when people watch this fucking podcast. Let's talk about first edition. I played first edition on Sunday, and it was fucking amazing. I got to use real Gaston Gray and bounce giant intrigue challenges, and then fucking Game of Savas other shit, and pull off wins from nowhere. Like, there were like 50 got 'em moments. It like Jesse would have fucking died. It was amazing. Like, I don't care at all about second edition. First edition was so great.
That sounds beautiful.
It was. I'll tell you the whole story later, Chris. It was just unbelievable.
I have heard a version of this story like 9 times since he got back from Europe, and I almost fell asleep in the middle of that. So it was really good trying to drive people away.
Honestly, I heard it. I don't know shit about first edition, but it did seem cool. I enjoyed the story.
It was very
mainly
cool.
just because every other word he was talking about how he killed something or bounced something, and he was saying "fuck" a lot. So I was like, "Yep, this is cool. This is cool. I'm in."
It must be good.
It was amazing. It's a story that Show and Paul will really appreciate.
Can't wait.
Move on. If there were more recent tournaments, no one cares about Martell Wolf again.
So Chris, how did San Diego go?
It wasn't too bad. We had a good showing, like 30-ish players. I played Martel Wars to Come, but not the annoying, degenerate Dorn's game version, and had a lot of fun. Ended up going 3-2, I guess. Right? Yeah, with an unfortunate mod win at one point. But it was a good day, and then afterwards we checked out. We kind of scouted the location for Thrones War 2019, and it looks super sweet. So if you were on the fence about that, would recommend.
Where is this?
I don't know if we're announcing yet, so I don't want to put that out in the world. But it'll be in San Diego, California. So.
Oh my God! All right, someone time out Glazer in the chat.
I did. I got that you've got too many messages.
All right, so and that sort of brings us to this past weekend when Jesse and I attended the Lord of the Crossing in South Jersey, hosted by Mike Lamzik, Chris Vack, and friends down there, which was the second to last.
Renly. Don't forget Renly.
And Renly. Well, Renly comes with the Lamzik package. So, like, that's just to be assumed that good boy Renly is going to be there. So it was an amazing event, extremely well run. Even when people forget their abandoned strongholds, it's run very smoothly as a tournament. It had the best prize support of any Thrones tournament that I have ever attended. Mike really, really is a degenerate maker of Thrones swag. There was tokens for everyone, gold tokens, power tokens, bounties for every round with this really beautiful art that that the South Jersey guys commissioned. It was amazing. Like easily, I mean, I don't think any of the other next stops can really top it, including Red Saturday itself, which is the amount of prize support that Mike Port and Chris and others poured into the event. It was a really great time. All the metas showed up. There was people from New York City, people from Pennsylvania, people from Maryland and DC. And we had, of course, 2 visitors from Indianapolis. Jesse,
I'm from Illinois.
Got him.
Got him. How was the invasion of White Squirrel Country to coastal Jersey? How was it for you?
It was really, really good time. Last week, honestly, my spirits were a little bit low, and then I found a way to go. And I was like super excited because I love the East Coast guys. And so this is even what I was telling Shontal. So I love the West Coast guys as well, but the East Coast guys, the East Coast is so small that when you go to an East Coast tournament, you see everyone. Except Sandy, because he never goes to East Coast tournaments. But usually, you see a large portion of the East Coast, which is really cool. And Mike put on a great event. Vac was a good judge. You were a good judge. Kiko ran it well as well. And then James ran the reporting and stuff. Put on an unbelievable event. Ryan Smith as well. They all put on a great event. So I had a very good time. Had a good finish. My only game on stream, I just botched, and then I explained to him how I should have won.
People love that. People love that.
No, it was me and Jordan Davis. We're good friends, and then I was I did something, and then I was like, oh wait, I could have won. And then I just showed him my hands, and I was like, oh, if I'd have just done that, I would have won. But congratulations, you win. So no, it was a good game. I had a really good time. Congrats to Brent Alcorn for winning. He played a cool Tyrell Dragon deck. Queen's Guard on Renly is good. It just fuels itself, if you didn't know that. And then sometimes you could draw another card. Also, it's good against attachment removal because you can just put the backup one in shadows. It's fucking really good. So yeah, it was a good time.
So I just received word in chat that I can promote and announce the location of Thrones War 2019. It will be at Alesmith Brewery on Miramar Road. We have basically it's the entire second story of the Alesmith Brewery is a balcony area with its own bar, and we'll have our own bartender, and it's gonna be friggin' great.
Game changer.
There's a Tony Gwynn Museum there.
I have an question though about this.
Yeah, what's up?
So, what are we doing about the dead time?
More information to come, but we are aware of it and are considering our options.
What is it?
Glazer was asking about the break because Thrones War comes kind of at the end of that period where we're not going to have new cards that FFG announced. So
cool.
The Greyjoy box will be out. We'll all be happy, guys. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Only one team can play it, though.
And it's President's Day weekend again, right? Or is Ryan not settled?
I don't think that date is completely finalized. Okay. That's the one part. And Ryan can correct me again in chat if that's not true either.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited. I have every intention to be there. So
I have some inside news that Brazilian nationals might be right after Thrones War then.
Ooh.
Or because I think we're targeting end of February, early March for that.
So, what are you? Brazilian nationals?
Well, let's do it this way. Luis has said multiple times that whenever people fucking show up to Brazil, he'll have Brazilian nationals. And Kabe, who some of you might know from, I don't know, being drunk.
From being
everywhere. And Michael Lewinsky, who ran Fracas, and myself were all considering going to Brazil around that time. So you guys should also consider that.
Yes.
It's Rio. So.
Probably not going to happen, but I love the idea.
Considered.
Cool. So that would be what? Every continent except what? Australia and Africa at that point for you?
They're
actually and Antarctica, of course, which doesn't count.
Because I'm planning on Australia. Like seriously, I'm planning an Australia trip next year. So
you should. The Australia guys I talked to quite a bit. They're awesome.
They're cool dudes.
Like Adam
I like them a
Kolar.
lot.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Alistair's a good dude.
Yep.
All right. So I think that covers all the tournaments, but there is a couple more announcements. Buzz, do you want to talk about your regional? I'm sorry.
It was super small. So there were people from out of town and stuff, but not from Stockholm. So we were 10 people for our regional. We have extra prizes that we're selling. We're gonna put it up at the Agot Cards trading group so that you can pay for our kit.
You do what you got to do.
Jacob won, but it was not Bultman. It was the other one. Jacob was in the final, though, of course.
So it was in all.
It was Jacob.
It was Jacob in the final. Yeah.
It was the Wallman or Whaleman. I don't know how you say his name, right? Yeah. He played in the.
Those two together built the Greyjoy Nordic Wars and Greyjoy Nordic Reigns from last year, and Wallman consistently plays as well in the online leagues.
Yeah, he played in the Spider's Web tourney.
Yeah. He did.
And he had to drop or something because of it was just getting too late. But his decks were always interesting every round. I always checked on him. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
Very cool.
So there is a bunch of stuff coming up. I know we're going to get to the sweetness in a second, but I want to talk about a couple of things coming up. I mean, the biggest thing is the spiritual godfather of Thrones, Will Lentz's big giant event of U.S. Nationals, which I think is getting into the 70s now with attendance, is this weekend.
Do I not get to talk about UK Nationals?
Oh, sorry, Sandy. I apologize.
Got him.
Sandy's been at a lot of tournaments over the last week.
Just because you've been to every tournament.
Yes.
I would like to hear about UK Nats.
I would
UK Nationals was mid-50s. I think 52-ish, so low 50s. A lot of people I haven't seen in a while, but all great people. I love the UK meta. I played Targ Crossing, which is what did, I think, second place at Fracas. Is that right? Yeah, second place at Fracas.
Yeah.
Along with the eventual winner of the tournament, Joe Zimmer, also played that. Notable things, I had actually played in a GNK in London right before the Thursday before and lost to Drowned God. And I lost to Drowned God in the tournament. But Drowned God isn't a real deck, right, Jesse? It was just
bad.
It's garbage.
Bad. No one should play it. We shouldn't talk about it.
Don't play it. Wama was, I think, the number one seed with Drowned God, but we shouldn't talk about it.
No, it's not.
He said
actually not.
He wasn't?
He went 5-1.
Oh,
he lost the 6th round.
Didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he lost to Herdman.
But he also
actually like there's some solid players from London that did pretty well there. I ended up finishing in the top 8. I beat Ben Fox in top 16 after not sleeping the night before. What? Great. I'm done. Am I frozen?
No, Sid is frozen.
Oh, you're good.
I am?
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't been for like ever.
We put it in the Skype chat like 5 times. So
I'll figure it out.
But but interesting things there. I think there was a cohort deck, Tyrell cohort maybe, that Ryan Wood was piloting. That was pretty interesting. There was a Stark Reigns deck, which was Puppies, which did really well. I think it got second. But some interesting twists. I didn't see any like super degenerate King's Landing bullshit. I didn't see anything like crazy from the new packs except for the Targ. So, yeah. That was UK Nationals.
Oh, excuse me, hold on.
What's up?
I was going to sneeze, but apparently not going to sneeze. All right, so now we can actually transition to looking a little bit ahead then. I apologize for missing UK Nationals real quick then. So quick kick to just one final push to promote Will's big event, US Nationals, which I think is over 70 people now. This is a huge thing.
I don't think it is, though, right?
Is it? No, I thought it was.
72 registered or something like that.
If you look at the tickets, you see who bought tickets for Joust.
Well, but that doesn't.
Right?
I don't know if I bought a ticket.
Those are the people who are registered. Did he say 70?
Yeah, he's been saying 70. So.
Huh. Yeah. Maybe people are registering with the store and not on the website. Maybe. Maybe that's why we're getting 70.
Yeah.
But still, it's gonna be big and it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. Because there are like 50 registered on the website, and it didn't see a lot of locals. So there might be just signing up locally at the store or something.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. 70 people would be sick. Locals.
Everyone that misses the cut gets a missing the cut cup.
Hell yeah!
Ooh,
and you can probably get one if you make the cut, unless your name is Chase, in which case I'm gonna fucking charge you for it.
Chase isn't going.
How much money? How much money did you lose to Chase at Gen Con? That's how much the cup costs.
No, I don't care about that. I actually care that he wouldn't give me the Tyrell tokens when I asked for them, despite giving him that much money. So it'll cost one set of Tyrell tokens.
I think he already sold them. So
yeah, well,
you could just have my Tyrell tokens. I don't care.
I'm
never going to use them ever.
So besides Will's big thing, stuff that's coming up, of course, this Friday, registration for Thronstoberfest, the war format event here on the East Coast, closes. So if you have not signed up yet and you are planning to attend, please sign up by Friday so that I can get all of your information out to the regents, including Aaron Glazer and Jesse Carpenter. And then the following weekend, September 8th at about 7 p.m. EST, Sid and I will be doing the live draft here on Buzz's channel. Really exciting times. It's gonna be good.
How many players we have?
Currently, we have 47 people, not including the regents.
So did you say what date the live draft was going to be? I didn't hear you.
September 8th.
September 8th.
So we have 56
I'm at a wedding.
You're saying, right?
You have a wedding?
Yeah, I'm going to be at a wedding September 8th. Damn.
So you just put a headphone in, like one in.
Sure, I can listen. I was just hoping to jump on for some guest commentary.
Sorry, well maybe...
What you should really do is like 30 minutes before, look at flights, figure out you can make it, enter in at the last minute. I'll grab you.
Night.
We'll grab Greyjoy. I mean, we won't play Greyjoy. We'll play something else. It'll be fun.
You know the road to my heart.
There we go. Chris, you can enter as the mystery night if you want, and they'll see how much you go for. Is it going to be Malucci? Is it going to be Schoenthal? Who are the two possible mystery nights that we're going to have? The regents can find out later. But it's going to be an amazing time. We'll have some big announcements about the prize support coming up in a little bit. And then, of course,
Can we get to the shit that people are tuning in for anytime?
No. Now you're just encouraging me to promote Battle of the Bay of Crabs, which is September 22nd. It is the last stop before the Northeast Championship at Red Saturday. It will be the only next stop since Storming of Starpike that Sandy Barnabas has attended. So it will be it'll be great. It'll be great. Sandy, and Jesse, there's also a California event that weekend, or
Siege of Highgarden.
Yep, in
it's
NorCal.
The NorCal guys. So it's like Alejandro, Lance, Brad, Eric Green, Shelby, Angela, all those guys. So they're putting on that tournament. Is it in Fairfield?
Yes, Fairfield.
It's in Fairfield.
You can take a detour and see the Jelly Belly factory if you're into that sort of thing.
It's right next door. Yeah,
I love Jelly Beans.
There are 2 other tournaments happening. Buzz, do you want to talk about one?
What? Which one?
I think there's 3 others, right?
When?
Probably. It's a packed day.
It's like insanely
October
packed.
2nd?
No, September. It's
September
Varberg, right?
Ah, yes. Yeah, it's Varberg. Obviously.
All right.
That's plug, everyone.
Obviously, it's Varberg. We will jump in then to the drama.
Queen of the Andals is that day too.
Yeah,
really
Queen
quick.
of the Andals as well in Minnesota is that day.
Yeah, Cameron's resurgence of King of the North. CT won King of the North once. They can't let him win that again, so they just switched the title. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why they switched, but they're doing Queen of the Andals. That means the swag will be insane. They always put on a great tournament in Minnesota. So,
what's the one after that, or what's the other one? You said there were 5.
Oh no, I think we were miscalculating. I thought I didn't think you had mentioned Queen of the Andals yet. I'm sorry.
We hadn't mentioned Queen of the Andals yet. No.
So Varberg, Highgarden, Crabs, and Andals.
Winner of Highgarden wins a buy at Kubla in 2019.
Yep.
Yes, it is part of the WCC Road to Kubla.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. So there's a Road to Kubla, then a Road to Salak. So we're just all on the road, huh?
We just keep building roads, man.
We all want roads lead somewhere.
That's
if it was really themed around California, it would be the highway to Kubla, but Sid, the freeway.
Yeah, it's the freeway, not the highway.
To Kubla. All right, so where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the moral assassination of Sandy Barnabas by the mods of the second edition Facebook group, or do we want to start with FFG's latest attempt to kill our beloved game? So where do we want to start with the drama?
I don't have a preference. Maybe ask chat. We could ask chat.
Where do you want us to start?
We just let the chat decide. Yeah.
The chat. When did this become a democracy? I thought we were being fascist.
We're revolutionaries here, comrade. Typical founder of a revolution. You know, his ideas, once they're put into practice, never seem as good as he expressed them initially. So,
they just got to our.
All right, they're saying FFG.
FFG.
All right, so we'll start with this. For those of you who missed it, yesterday, FFG made a big announcement about the future of Game of Thrones, the card game.
Minor point. I believe I was the one who posted that to the main group.
You were
in my role as
your final contribution to the
his final contribution to the second edition Facebook group. Sandy Barnabas posted the link from the official FFG website saying that once they finish this cycle shortly after Worlds and release in November, I believe, right? Did they say it was in November or October?
November.
The Greyjoy box. We will not have cards until March 2019 due to production being sped up on the current Shadow cycle, whatever that means. But the bottom line is that there is no cards coming from until March 2019, with then the release of the 6th cycle, whatever they're calling it. But they did say that there would be a new Robert and a few other big characters. Eddard. And the return of City Plus
is the big one. City.
So big stuff is coming in March, but there will be no cards between November and March, which, for those of you who may remember this game that recently was discontinued, the Star Wars LCG, it once had a similar card drought, and its competitive community and broader community collapsed in flames during that card drought. So the question that I will throw to...
I just want to make, if you want to start with a question, that's fine. I want to make 3 points to contrast the Star Wars LCG sort of model. The first point being, it was much earlier in the life of the Star Wars LCG. It was after the first cycle. So it was like they had the core set in the first cycle, and that was it. So the card pool was smaller. Due to the pod system that the LCG used, the card pool was even artificially smaller than that because you had fewer deck building choices to make. You could only basically your deck was 10 cards times 3, or however you want to say it. But the realistic choices weren't 60 different cards. So that made it feel artificially smaller as well. And lastly, and I think pretty importantly, there was no communication from Fantasy Flight on this. We got no announcement from them about the LCG, about the Star Wars LCG.
Winter is coming.
And this
and
time
so am I.
They chose to put out an announcement, and I think we do. I've heard that we owe a thanks to some of our friends of the cast and other people that work at FFG that really pushed to get that announcement made, because they were considering not making one, and getting that out there was really important for the community. So thanks to everybody who made that announcement possible.
Cool. We definitely appreciate our friends at FFG who made the announcement possible. So my question to y'all is, what do you think the impact of this card drought is going to be? This is big news, and it's the real shit, as my students would say. So, Sid, since you laughed first, what do you think?
I'm honestly not that worried about it. It sucks, but 4 months, I think it's going to be fine. And it kind of sucks that it falls into what we presume to be Store Championship season. I mean, we all kind of presume that that's where it'll fall. Maybe they'll do something. Maybe they'll fill in that space. But my reticence to dodge the falling sky is not based on FFG even filling that space. Even if they don't, I'm pretty confident in that space. I mean, we're going to have lots of fun tournaments out here in California and on the West Coast and in Vegas. And
wait, what? What's happening in Vegas?
LVO.
Yeah, okay.
First week of February, and then we have Thrones War. Like, there's so much to look forward to in that stretch. And actually, some people are kind of like, "Whoa, that's right where Thrones War falls." But Thrones War is such a different format. I don't really think Thrones War suffers from this as much as, like a regional or a national tournament would. So yeah, I mean, 4 months, I'm fine with it. December, January are kind of dead anyway. So. Yeah, I'm not worried. I think 4 months is fine. I give a lot of kudos to FFG and those who pushed for the announcement. I don't really. I mean, it's a negative, but I don't think it hurts the game. I really don't think it does.
So, I disagree, and I think a lot of the reason I disagree is because I was just in Poland, and like the shrinking of tournaments, at least in Europe, seems to be a real thing. It's like most tournaments seem to be down about 50 players from last year. And while that drop-off is smaller in North America, it's still a drop-off. I don't expect the game to die based on this, but I expect us to be really coming close to approaching first edition levels of attendance at tournaments. And like at that point, I'm not sure how viable it is for FFG to continue the game much long after that, probably a year or two. I assume we're still getting every box. But like, they might just call it a complete game after that. Either which way, though.
After the Greyjoy box or after the final box?
No, final.
No, he means all the boxes will be released.
Yeah, after the box, they'll just consider
instead of doing something else instead of the 9th box, it would just be, hey, go home, everyone.
Yeah. Because once we're at first edition levels, and that's what I'm assuming this is going to take us down to. Once we're at first edition levels, I'm not exactly sure why they continue. Like, it's not profitable enough, whereas they can't do something else with the property. But also, I can't imagine they're not going to start having a restricted list come December. Like, I just can't imagine they don't do something like a restricted list, if not actively a restricted list, maybe a banned list, maybe something. But like, they have to do something to spread out the meta over that time and make Store Championship season feel worth going to.
Well, I mean, Are you? But you said you disagree because you're upset about it. Do you think they won't do that, or do you think they will? And do you see them instituting a restricted list as a positive during that period, or at least not a net positive, but at least better than nothing?
Sid, do I think a restricted list is a positive?
Yes, I know you do. I know you do. So I don't know why you're disagreeing with me. I don't think you're that worried.
Right. So I think that while it's a positive, it's still controversial to a lot of second edition only players. They're still very down on it, as we saw when we did that big poll. And when we get that big restricted list, they are. We got the poll still had 65% of people being basically no restricted list at all. They're anti-restricted lists, and when there's no cards and restricted lists, which a lot of second edition players, especially casuals, are heavily against, I think that it's a bad combo. And I think it's still a necessity, because if there isn't one, the hardcore players will go crazy. I think this is a bigger problem than you're giving credit for. I don't think it kills the game. I think it weans out casual players who can find other things to do.
I actually think actually, Sandy, I want to hear from you.
Well, this is a first, I think, but I actually agree with Aaron. My solution for almost every problem that plagues this game is just print more fucking cards. Most of the complaints can be addressed by either being very careful and deliberate and whatever about crafting a restricted list and managing play and all this crap, or you can just print more cards, just design more cards and print them. And I think that by not printing cards for 3 months, they're going to dig themselves into a hole where it's going to be really difficult to simultaneously here's what I think is going to happen. I think the Greyjoy box is going to come out in November. We're going to spend all of November playing with it. We're going to spend December playing with it. By January, the meta will have stabilized, and we will have found the few exploitative things in the meta. Now, there's going to be a ton of problems. You could maybe try to patch some of those up with a restricted list, but the next set after Greyjoy, the next cycle after Greyjoy, will have to solve so many problems. And especially if it's already been in testing, it's already been thought about. They already know they're going to do city plots. They already know what's in it. I don't think it's going to solve anything. I think we're going to find things that are broken that will remain broken for not just one cycle, but 2. And if one cycle has an extra 3-month gap, we're just going to have that much longer where stupid shit is legal. And it's going to be I don't want to call it combo winter or the Jake Platt winter of, but that's what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something stupid.
Can I go next, Troy?
Yeah, of course, Jesse.
All right. So after sitting on it for 2 days, I'm probably the only one here. I actually wildly disagree with you both. I actually think it's actively very good for the game. I think for a few things here. Okay, so the American meta is constantly stale. I think 3 months without chapter packs, we all think the meta is going to be solved, and from a competitive standpoint, it will be solved. But it's Store Championship season, where more casuals play than any other time of the year. Absolutely. If you look at Store Championship numbers, Glazer, you're wrong.
True. No, I'm not saying you're not wrong that more people play. I'm saying without cards, I think that those casuals.
Yes, because it gives you a time. So here's the thing: what competitive players do that win all these tournaments, right? So you go to Store Championship, you always have the 2 or 3 people that travel around everywhere that are just playing these hyper competitive decks, and so every month. So every month.
I don't play hyper competitive decks. Fuck you.
So every month. Right, you don't play builders. Every month. So every month when these new packs come out and we're going to these Store Championships, we feel like we have to solve them before regional season gets here, before Gen Con gets here, before these tournaments get here. But now that we don't, and we can just creatively deck build and build jank for 3 months, the casuals, I think, will actively go towards that. It will also be in a time where the intro decks are out. It will be a time when the new buyer's guide is out from CT. It will give people a few months to actually catch up. Figure out the meta, figure out what they enjoy. I actually think it's a good thing. I really do. I don't think it's going to be stale to the point where it's breaking, because there's not any major tournaments that are solved, right?
I have a question.
Sure, absolutely.
What would you consider stale? So we have Store Championship season. How many times does the same deck have to win a Store Championship before you consider the meta stale?
I don't know. Like maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just wondering where your line is.
If I go to 3 or 4 store championships and only like Greyjoy, let's just like say like Greyjoy, Balon, Pillage decks are winning, right? Then like okay, then I was wrong, and I'll look back on this like I was wrong. But I think I'm gonna go to these, and I think I'm gonna see a bunch of different decks because the meta's solved by December. So by the time store championships are here, I think we're going to build different things. I think it's going to be interesting and cool.
That is the jessiest answer I've ever heard to anything, and I love you and appreciate you. But it's just the jessiest answer. But like, we
can make it a good thing. Like we can.
We can, sure.
Right, and we have to make lemonade out of those lemons, but that doesn't mean that it's like just on its face is good necessarily.
I truthfully think the 3-month hiatus is because of new management. They're probably figuring out a new production schedule. They're probably figuring out a price schedule, and this is just how they're going to save money for those 3 months while they're putting out a new game. In Keyforge, they're going to push it super hard, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're cutting Thrones for Keyforge. But anyway, I'm just saying they're figuring out a new production schedule for these games, and Thrones is. I'm sorry to say it, but Thrones is the low man on the totem pole. We just are. It's just like from a business standpoint, like they have to figure out how to cut costs probably. And I'm not saying that they're going to kill the game. I do not believe so. And I don't believe we're going to get the whatever the last box is and it's going to be over. I think the game will survive 7-8 years just like a normal LCG does. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I know they're different, but after sitting on it for a couple days and talking to people, I think that's what I think.
So I think that FFG I feel like their block structure that they announced on Beyond the Wall, the last episode of Beyond the Wall, where they said that they were going to do these new keywords over the course of 2 cycles, will end up shooting themselves in the foot. Particularly looking at how the 3rd and the 4th cycle worked, where like a lot of the interesting like payoff for Bestow was in the second half of that block of the Bestow block. And it's increasingly looking like to me now that many of the interesting Shadows cards may end up being in the unpublished block. So you'll have a theme that's really cool, but orphaned and underdeveloped. And so you're going to get people who are going to be like, oh, Shadows could be really cool, but it's not developed. It's waiting for these payoff cards, or it's waiting for these answer cards to, if there is a problematic shit, like Mira was just spoiled. If there's a problematic Shadows card that an answer to her is in the 6th cycle rather than the 5th cycle, we're going to be sitting here in a meta that, like, Danny never designed the game for it to be sitting without these other Shadows cards coming out to answer to Blood and Sandy saying to answer what's going on here. So the problem is this is not like a natural design decision. It wasn't like Nate French went to Danny and was like, in the fall, we're going to have this gap. You need to design the game around this gap and the card pool around this gap. It's more like it could be what Jesse said. We had a change in management, so there's going to be this gap. Okay, and it's like, okay, but there's nothing he could do about it at that point, and things like that. So I think that that's going to be the biggest problem, like from a card pool level. I think there's a lot of things that the community can do events-wise, pushing other formats, melee, and all kinds of stuff. But
that'll save it.
That one. I'm just saying, like, things to spice things up. Like Thrones War is a big thing to get people to build and think about the game and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like at the end of the day, we're stuck with the cards that FFG printed, and the fact that the 5th cycle is going to be orphaned without its partner is, I think, going to end up being the biggest problem of all of them. But I think we have Chris and Buzz left. So which one of you guys wants to go?
I mean, I feel like I'm a bit moderate, like between the extremes of very good and very bad. Like I think Sid so far is more the direction I'm leaning. Like we'll survive for sure. I think the point that you made about the Shadows cards is actually kind of the reverse of what happened, and I think it shows some flaws in how FFG chooses the order that their cards come out. Is we already got a bunch of the payoff cards. We just don't have the cards to use those payoff cards. We got Queen of Thorns. We got Shadow City. We got the Tyrell Old Town, whatever it is, Shadows location. And there's like a bunch of stuff that's like, this is awesome with a bunch of Shadows cards. And we don't have enough Shadows cards to make those things work yet. So I think that's where the gap is really going to hurt. Somebody did bring up in chat, I will say that for L5R, this has been not as extreme, but mostly their experience for the entire lifespan of their game, because they do the 6 packs in 6 weeks and then they do nothing for 3 months. So they intentionally and naturally do that. I don't know whether this is a test by FFG to maybe see if that works for Thrones and works for the meta, but I think that's not off the table.
Interesting.
Buzz? We got to do Roy's job once in a while. Just once in a while.
Trying to catch up on chat here. That's why I don't normally
expect
pay attention to the chat.
The last, the box to
November. It'll drop at Worlds, just like Lanny and Taro.
Yeah,
I agree.
So at least here in Sweden, what we do is we play like crazy before Stalek, play at Stalek, and then we don't play until like February, March. That's 3 months in this hiatus gone already. Am I super quiet? Yeah, maybe. I
okay.
Can for this stream. I'll even it out so you can pull it up on stream a bit more. Okay. So I personally, who don't play for 3 or 4 months after Stalek, won't notice this very much at all, and I think that rings true for most of the Swedish meta. Who just don't play for this time anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the natural lull. Like, if you had, it sucks that we have it, but if you had to pick a time of the year, isn't it kind of the best time for it to happen?
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
Kind of agree.
And I'm looking for silver linings. Obviously, it'd be best if it didn't happen. But I mean, we do pack in some like little extra fun tournaments during this time. But we do that because it was already a gap, right? There was already this space that existed. And
I think
it's not a hyper competitive time, so it's gonna.
I think for the most part, legitimately for America, you're gonna have things to do. You're gonna have store championships. There's always like Windy City in the Midwest for those times. We're gonna have Thrones War, which is a big event. It literally pulls over 100 players. We're going to have my birthday right at the end of it that you're going to spend a month building decks that will probably pull over 70 players again, I assume. Like, there are things to do. And in Europe, like, literally Buzz is not the first one to talk to. Like, I talk to the Germans a lot. After Stalek, they just don't play for 3 months. They just take a break. Because
they have like 2 winter tournaments, one of which Wolfgang, who runs Stalek, does like right before New Year's, and that has appeared because of the normal hiatus anyway. So there are, as you say, fun tournaments that are there.
It's
already.
So great that when FFG does these weird things, that I don't know, the fan community just picks it up. I think we'll just figure it out and make it work, guys. I really do. Honestly, like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I hope I don't look back on this and say I'm wrong, but I think it's fine.
So I definitely agree with Jesse in the sense that it's manageable, but I think we have to approach this with some honesty, though. Like, we're like, it's because I understand that, like, we it's very easy to be extremely negative about this, but at the same time, like, not having cards for 3 months, even in the Store Championship season, sucks. Like, and it's going to be difficult because people love new cards. It's the thing they love, and it's not something that LCG players are used to for Thrones, right? And like, the way I remember the winter is actually a really interesting time because it's the Store Championship season. You're experimenting and brewing with these new cards that are getting released, where the stakes are a lot lower, so you can experiment more with these new cards versus when you come into the regional, into Gen Con, into World season, where it's much more like we can't take huge risks because we want to do well in these tournaments. Store Championship season is more like, oh, these fun new cards, we can experiment and see what's going to happen because I have 5 or 6 Store Championships to play in. And while you can backfill that and say, well, okay, what are the cards that we overlooked at Worlds because they weren't necessarily hyper efficient or Stalic or Red Saturday or whatever the big event you're building for. You can backfill and be like, well, now that I did that, I can now look at these other cards. But I still think that like freshness is important to keeping card games alive. And I don't think we can just tell ourselves it's going to be okay because our community is awesome, even though our community is awesome, and it's going to be one of the reasons it's okay, if that point makes sense.
Sure.
I can.
Right, we can't sit on our laurels. I agree. I think we need to actively, as a community, work together and to stick together at that point and hold on to what we have and make some great events. And
I mean, we have thrown sport, as you say, and that's different, so it won't be affected as much by this. So all we have to do is figure out the format, either another restricted list that we can use for 2 or 3 months, or just have some kind of event that we do as a community. Like, take the Red Fork thing, but change the rules somehow, like deck building.
What's the Red Fork thing?
The first championship season,
the Maester choice.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they had an event for the whole community that was something different-ish. But we do that and arrange these tournaments all over the world in different cities. Like, we're like 60 different cities here already, more or less. And impose restrictions, be it either a different restrictor list or deck building restrictions. And it's fine.
There are people, I mean, like, they're talking in the chat, and like, there are people that are really good at creating alternate formats, right? Like, Ryan did his. Like, CT always runs these like one-off tournaments that are just crazy then like, it pulls like 40 people around the Midwest to come play this wacky format that you would never play otherwise. And I know he'll come up with something cool that I'll be like, oh, I don't care what the card pool is, like, this makes it more fun. And like, this is also a time that, like, I think people, because a lot of new players, because just a lot of older players are just so burnt out on it, this is a time to maybe cube draft. Like, this is a time to do, like, any of those, like, maybe a Highlander tournament, like, whatever. Like, I just think if you want to keep it going during those 3 months, I don't think it's going to be that hard, personally.
I think Jesse brings up a good point that it could be a key time to start recruiting if your meta needs new blood, or if you're in an area that could use a startup meta. Like, this is a good time. It gets people a chance to experiment. If they've never played the game, there's plenty of new cards for people who've never played the game, and you can't ever replace that excitement of like cracking a pack. But you can, if we have these other formats, if we have things to look forward to, if people are excited about playing Thrones during this season, then it really won't matter ultimately. As long as it doesn't become the norm, right? If it becomes the norm, then we have a problem. But if we can maintain excitement, then it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Yep.
All
right.
I really hope you're right.
Optimism, Glazer. We can shift to pessimism now.
Now that we've gotten all the FFG nonsense out of the way.
Whew.
Roy is silently yelling at us to get back on topic.
Talk about Brave New World.
Viva la Revolution.
That's right.
So, Jesse, why are you such a derelict?
Roy's sound is not on.
Why am I such a what?
Derelict.
Now that we've talked about this, and this is a story we will obviously cover a lot, and I'm sure will be even bigger freakouts, but it's actually been vaguely overshadowed by the fact that a revolution broke out today. So
this is where Buzz just cuts the feed. So, like, all this build up for nothing.
So, Sandy Barnabas, why don't you, while I get a beer, tell us what Franz Ferdinand-like event, the shot heard around the world kind of event, happened today that sparked all this?
Well, so I don't know, man. I had a really busy day. I just got back from 2 weeks in Europe, and I'm catching up on work. And I see some stuff I see a post about one of my favorite artists, actually, like, literally one of 3 artists that I can recognize the name of ever, Magali, get detained in SeaTac. I think Andrew posted it, right?
Yeah, it was from the Lord of the Rings group. I'd actually been following this story for a couple days and posted it in a couple private chats. But basically,
I knew about it.
The short version is that 3 French artists were traveling from France to Seattle to have a meeting with Wizards of the Coast about some new D&D stuff that they were going to be working on. And when they got from France to the Seattle airport, they found out that their ESTA visas were expired, and I don't know exactly what the ESTA process is. Maybe you can speak to that, Sandy.
I mean, I've crossed more international borders than most people have crossed county lines. So, like,
do you use that on all your Tinder dates? That's a heck of a line.
No, but I should.
You should write that one down.
So I think an ESTA is actually not a visa. It's an exemption from the visa process if you're visiting the States for for business or leisure. But there are some guidelines around that. I don't know a lawyer, so I don't know what the exact structure of the guidelines are.
Go.
But anyway, regardless of all that, we can talk about that in a bit. But what I saw, I read this article. Somebody had said, I'm not going to get political about it. I think Andrew had said that he's not going to get political about it. Somebody else had apparently said, I did that for you. And there was
it was Michael Stapleton.
Right.
I like Michael Stapleton. Solid guy.
And then I said, where? And it's like, oh, it's been deleted. And I was like, okay. I didn't say anything about that. I was like, okay, it's been deleted, whatever. I moved on. A few seconds later, maybe a minute later, a mod that I had never heard of posted and said, I removed it because it was like inflammatory and it was political and inflammatory, I think. And we have like rules about that. And I responded in my, I think, not atypical way, saying, I feel like you're totalitarian modding is political and inflammatory to me. So please stop that. And then I got a message from him on Facebook saying, I think I still have it, actually. Let me read it verbatim so that I don't misrepresent anything. Let's see. Where is he? Yes. It's past the point of needing warnings. We've never operated in a way that hasn't been as close to fair as we can get in the group, regardless of political viewpoints. Please stop trying to continue an argument after I've already asked to stop in the group. Now, one, I'm 36 motherfucking years old. I do not.
Have you been fucking mothers all 36 years?
I know.
Like 50%. People do not get to treat me like a child. They don't get to say, I've told you to stop. You need to stop. No, I don't think so. Some guy I've never heard of talking to a community where I know vastly more people than you. No, you don't get to do that. Secondly, even if you had some sort of delegated authority to you for modding this community instead of happening to be a mod that was assigned at 3 years ago and hasn't been active since I've literally never seen him post, like, ever before this. Even if that was the case, I don't think that my personality type reacts well to being told to not continue an argument once you've been told to stop. Like, really? No. So I said, okay, I was like, okay, I have a couple of things here, but I have a meeting in 15 minutes. So what can I can go off the handle, or I can just be like, all right, I'm out. Like, fuck this. I'm done with this group for now. And I thought it was actually better for me to just bow out than to start a huge thing about it. So in my perhaps misguided, like, I have to run to a meeting, I was like, okay, thanks. And then I left the group. I think I posted something saying, I'm out, whatever. And then I screenshotted it and posted it in my podcast group. Said I'm out. So did that. And then, like, I got 8 million notifications during my meeting, which was fun. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Shit's on fire. And somebody else can probably take over from this point.
Buzz, So once Sandy pieced out, how did you lose your head?
So on screen right now there should be my original post that I
got him.
It's deleted, but I happen to have an old tab open with it. So I shared this post from Missing the Cut because I'm gonna pull this up. Give me 10 seconds.
So for the podcast listeners, Buzz reposted what Sandy put on Missing the Cut.
I think I said did I say I dare you guys to share that in the main group?
You said I've posted it on Missing the Cut, and you say, and I read here now. Now I have to work for a living for a couple hours. Dare anyone to share my post to the main group? Lol.
Lol.
And my immediate response is challenge accepted and completed. And so we have the post here. I'm scrolling down. People start celebrating Sandy, of course. And Jesse Carpenter says,
shit, wow.
The group
I didn't even see the comments.
As close to fair as possible to laughable. This is fucking ridiculous. Fair and balanced. Then we have a quote from me. I think this should be sounded on.
Sacrifice paid, balance assured.
Yeah.
You post the Dota quote, gets me super hyped. I loved it.
Yeah, there is a bunch of stuff here. And then it gets deleted quickly.
Oh yeah, it was getting deleted so fast I couldn't put animated GIFs on the post fast enough to keep up with it.
Is this where I get going?
Yeah. So, well, Buzz, when did they axe you though? Because they axed you before they axed Jesse, right?
So,
when did you go to the guillotine for the cause?
So Edward, they saw my post was deleted. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up also. They saw my post was deleted, and I have another screenshot here on the screen. So Edward posted something, and I asked, what did it say? And it said, well, blah, 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 but it was blessed by the moderators. And so I made a new post, because my old one is deleted. Oh, blessed be the post that the admins touches. And I tagged David Hammond, bless me please, and I was instantly banned. And then people kept posting and posting and posting.
Yep. So right after Buzz gets axed, I'm already hyped up because of the Sandy nonsense. And then they actually insta-ban someone. So then I say, no moderation without representation. That's all I say. And then the Facebook group goes wild.
It might have been all caps.
It was definitely all caps. And then they immediately axed the post after 3 minutes, which I already have it typed up to post immediately again. And it just says, no moderation without representation, redux. And I do it. And then it goes wild again. And then this is when Luke Wortley jumps on it. He posts it, but it's in another language. And
the true language of revolution, French, as I understand it.
Oh, it's not in High Valerian? You guys are slackers.
So anyways, I messaged this Hammond guy and I was like, why do you keep deleting my posts? I'm like, trying to have a conversation with him. He won't respond. He's reading my shit. He deletes it. I posted a third time, insta-banned. Like immediately. I just put no moderation without representation, part 3. And then I do it, insta-ban.
You're out.
And then I immediately posted. It was just like, oh, I got banned from the group. If you want to talk to me about Thrones, you can PM me. Or go to, AGOT 2nd Edition Serious, which is now called AGOT 2nd Edition Revolution. And then I was so pissed. I was just like, all right, I'll give away anything from my alt art collection if you just post no moderation without representation on the AGOT group. And throughout the day, between different memes, 27 people have posted it on the AGOT 2nd Edition group. They just keep deleting the post. But originally, we got up to 15 people just insta-ban today. One of the Kim brothers didn't even say anything. He was just brothers with the other one. They just banned him.
Well,
he didn't even say anything.
Andrew Kim, so the reason we think he's banned is because he posted the original ICE thing.
Okay.
On Magali, yeah.
How dare he bring a news article to the group?
Like, oops.
About a woman who was one of the most beloved artists in the Thrones community and did George R. R. Martin's official calendar.
And like everyone's getting banned except like Darknage starts like being super sarcastic and hailing the admins to be like, God, these admins are so good.
This was on fire.
And then CT posts like the card ice.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just like, I don't understand why everyone's so upset. And like he survives. And then fucking God, and then Martin Nays from DC, who like has no chill whatsoever, is just like, fuck these mods. That's what's on my mind right now. And like, he doesn't even. And then like, so we're in this group, and it's like all these Thrones people, and so we add this David Hammond guy. We're gonna have a conversation with him, and I immediately just have it typed out. No moderation without representation.
No, he asked for us to add him.
Yeah,
he asked to have a conversation.
Correct.
We
yes,
definitely doing
like,
it.
I'll have a conversation with anyone who adds me as a group, to a group. I'll have a group conversation with the people that were banned. And so we do as he says, add him to a group with the people that were banned.
But we definitely don't behave. It is our fault there. Because immediately Fred Bird is like, oink, oink, you fascist pig. Like, immediately.
But according to him, though, he wasn't with his phone. His phone was far away. I don't know.
He was reading the messages.
Yeah, I think he realized the wood chipper.
I do want to give a quick shout out to a recent post from Alex Clay in the main group that many of you are now banned from.
Yeah,
he posted a picture of Sir Ilan Payne with the flavor text from Tyrion Lannister, which if you haven't read it says, "When you tear out a man's tongue, you're not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world you fear what he might say."
That's a good one.
The best one was I had to vicariously live through CT's computer tonight to look at the Facebook group.
Oh, I would have loved to do this.
Who was the one that just like woke up and was just like, when you wake up and you walk in, it's like it's the GIF of Community when he just like walks in and the whole apartment's on fire. And he's
that was my buddy Matt Thornton. Matt Thornton posted that one. He's a huge Community fan. It's like,
and then like Matt Jenkins posts the entire like Star Wars Rebels
rebellion statement.
Oh my god! It just got out of hand very quickly. Go Bell messaged me is like, can we save the group and stuff? And
no, there's a reason it got out of hand though, because this was a long time coming. This wasn't like this came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like,
to make it clear, none of the four moderators of a group of 5,500 still Thrones players actually plays Game of Thrones. They played it when it came out in 2015, started the group, and here we are today.
And haven't been playing for a long time.
Wait. Can I ask a real question, like a real opinion on why the fuck they do this?
I agree. I've asked them.
I don't know,
dude.
Tom
Malucci wrote out like super heartfelt letter to these guys. It was just like, I don't know why you want the headache of this. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they brought it upon themselves.
The day you put down the game, you should be like, hey, mods, I'm out of the game. You should find me a replacement, or you just, like that should have happened immediately. You don't supervise someone.
We are all adults who play a card game for no money that live behind a keyboard. We had 2 years of pent up rage. Like this was going to happen. And then like once the floodgates broke, when Sandy left, they axed Buzz, they axed me. The community was like, "Oh wait, fuck it. Like let's let them have it."
I almost feel bad for Goviel.
Almost.
Why?
Not quite.
He doesn't lose anything. He's not part of the community. Like, what does he lose? He loses nothing.
He
care?
Look, I don't get any of that. But for his part, he clearly tried. And if he was the active mod on it this time, I don't think we have this explosion.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we please throw a shout out to Glazers? Will you please read your Jonas Brothers post?
That was the best. Someone must have found it.
That was amazing.
Does anyone have it up?
No.
It got deleted. It's gone.
It definitely got deleted.
No. Everything's
saved it.
the Mega Fred.
Fucking Fred. I have in the Mega Fred.
Yeah. That has everything screenshot.
So
let me find it.
So I think the elephant in the room is this. Since
I found it. Hold on, I found it.
Okay, found it. Okay.
Hi, mods. I need some advice. I've recently been made a mod of a Jonas Brothers group. I've never heard them, and I don't know the community, and have no idea why anyone likes them. But I feel empowered to make decisions. What would you say is the best way to immediately assert my authority? Bonus points if I can alienate the long-standing leaders of their fan club. Thanks, hugs and kisses.
And then, who says something before Glazer is like
5 people just started giving advice. I was like, I don't want you amateurs' advice. I want real advice. There's professionals here.
Just fucking
I do think that other people have posted in their wall and not on the Thrones group. One was John Palmer, who said, if you think a post showing how ISIS Gestapo-like tactics have hurt people in your community is politics, rather than revealing an obvious wrong, you're part of the problem. And I was like, I don't think that's specific to me, but I think that's the thing that I was getting at in my original point, which is you can't just shove everything under the rug of we can't talk about anything remotely controversial because it might offend somebody. And this is it is not a topic that is new. We've obviously had political topics in Thrones before, but this time it's, somebody that a lot of people in the community know, somebody that I think is fairly well respected, and it impacted them at a very personal level. And I don't think it's inappropriate to talk about that in the group. And obviously that was not the mod's sentiments.
Sure.
So I think the semi-elephant in this room is that since 2015, that group has suffered from consistently terrible and inconsistent moderation, in which the things that have been discussed that touch on politics are infinitely worse than anything about fuck Trump, which you see as the top tweet on the president's Twitter feed. All right, so is far from a uncommon political statement. That the mods have allowed to exist, and at worst has locked the thread but kept the thread. You can find a whole bunch of foul stuff in the history that was not deleted, and excluding things that have involved me, but members of the community for long times who have had people insult them, have had political statements made about their identity, their sexuality, all these kind of things in the group. The people who instigated those things were not banned, and in fact were shit posting in part of this whole revolution. We have had a recent banning, but that has been the first time someone has been banned from this behavior consistently and thoroughgoingly in the 3 years that this has been operating.
We've had people banned before, but not for
Dennis Harrison.
Dennis Harrison.
Well,
John
that's the best part.
Alex Trigonakis, for some reason.
Trig got banned.
The Washout chat. The Washout chat was lit as fuck today because John Peters is like, I was banned way before it was fucking cool,
and no one cared.
No one cared. Peters deserved it. So what I'm saying is, deserving people have barely been banned. So in the history of all I'm saying is that there's been terrible moderation.
I never take a stand on anything. I took the stand because they went after my friends, but because that guy made the statement that was we have been fair and non-political for 3 years. And I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me.
Then he threw it in everyone's face and said, we just banned someone for political reasons. And I was like, no, we didn't. We banned
personal attacks.
That's right.
We didn't ban
consistent personal attacks. Consistent. There's plenty of people who espouse a love for Trump that are still in the group. That is not it. And then when the moderator threw that at everyone who was complaining, was like, hey, we got rid of someone else for political reasons, so you can't. I was like, they're so out of touch. They don't even understand why they're banning people. I'm done.
Go Bell definitely knows his dogs went wild today. while he was out.
But he's been the old man, like, drinking in the chair while his dogs have been running havoc in the neighborhood for years. Like, I do not give him a pass. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
He doesn't get a pass. No way. Like, the dogs have been, ripping out throats, but he's the owner, like, oh, I guess there's a hole in the fence. My bad. Like, no. Just because he's a nice guy doesn't mean he's not culpable here. He's been a mod from the beginning. And people have addressed him from the beginning. Like, hey, no, none of the mods play anymore, including you, man. Like, the fact that he's a nice guy shouldn't matter. He shouldn't have been anywhere near this group.
The worst crime Go Bell has committed, we just found out. He literally sold his collection to Platt. Platt only plays because Go Bell's the worst crime he could have committed.
Platt bag? Oh, Jesus. That's how he won Canadian Nationals. He had those Canadian cards.
So he won Canadian Nationals because he has no fucking soul.
I have two pieces of exciting breaking news here, but one topical, one not. The first being AGOT 2.0, The Revolution, has now reached 500 members. So congratulations to the new group, and welcome to all the new party people. And the more exciting news is the official Facebook event for Thrones War was just posted to both groups. So if you're out there and you were thinking about Thrones War, the dates are up, the locations are up. It's going to be great.
Hey, does anyone need a ride this weekend to Nationals? That is like between me and Nationals.
You're picking me up, dog.
I like how that segued.
Is Oxnard, California on your way? Can you make a slate? Oh, no. Okay.
But Chris brought up the solution to some of our problems. Chris, you are the creator, right, of the AGOT Super Serious / now AGOT Revolution group. So can you tell us a little bit about its history and what people who join it might expect from that group as an alternative to the larger?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was created, as Roy says, the working title for the last couple of years has been AGOT 2E Super Serious. And it was formed at a time when the big group was full of a lot of Thrones adjacent posts that were sort of frivolous and like rules questions and things like that didn't really interest a certain segment of the population, what you might call the Jamies, or like the serious people about the game. And so those people were like, hey, we should have another group on the side that talks a little more scholarly and seriously about the game. And so that's how the group came about. It wasn't formed today. It was just repurposed today. In terms of going forward, this all happened sort of suddenly. So I don't have a ton of big plans. I'm definitely going to get a couple other moderators on board, so I'm not doing this all myself. But I think you'll find, hopefully, neither of you. Hopefully you'll find a welcoming environment where you can talk about the game, talk about strategy, decks, things like that, and it'll be a good place for sort of an auxiliary community to form and blossom together.
Yep.
It's also a really cool way at tournaments where if you're meeting a new player, you can be like, oh, yeah, you're in the big group. Why don't you join this? And then they'll feel like they're kind of in a club, and maybe the game won't die during the hiatus. Boom, full circle.
I would actually like to see content geared towards new players in the group, because I would like to share that on my page and then boost the page. I think there's a lot of tools we're not
strategy. No, this is good. This is good, guys.
No,
do you think new players should watch Missing the Cut? I don't know. I'm actually asking the question.
I meant Second Sons.
Oh, okay. I was
Just Tone already had an answer to that question.
I will tell you that it is my favorite podcast.
Missing the Cut is the moonshine you find in the woods after you've already decided to buy the house.
Correct.
All of us I think there's a posting there, though, right? Actively. If you're looking for this pain in the ass podcast, because God knows why you watch in the first place, we are all posting there. So if you would like to keep up with us, that's a good place to do so.
Yeah, a lot of us will be there. I do want to say it's not necessarily intended as a complete replacement. If you find it as a replacement for the big group, I don't mind that at all, and I'm happy to have you. But I intend to do my best to stay in both, despite some of my comrades falling to the headsman today.
If they let me back in,
I would like to see some sort of resolution and some sort of detente in the big group, because I think it's
they want to let me. They're talking about letting people back in. If they let me back in, and they're not going to do it the right way, give over the admins, make an apology, then I will not last 10 minutes in the group. I promise you. I will not leave on my own accord, but my head will get axed again.
Every current admin has to go away. Every single one.
I do also want to say that in terms of new mods, I know that we try in the Thrones groups, we've tried to stay away from people who know anything about the game. Lance's wife has requested in chat. She said she knows nothing about the game and would love to be a mod. So she's on my short list.
Hey, I follow her Twitch channel, so like
her Twitch channel.
That's more than I do. That's actually more than I do for pretty much every podcast except this
Certainly
one.
More
what
than
does she stream?
For the current mods.
She actually, it's not her Twitch channel. It's a friend of hers, and they get these weird international snack boxes, and they taste the snacks on air and describe them.
Cool.
Really? I watch a ton of those videos.
Yeah.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah.
But we really, my friends, we've missed the real scandal here, that all of this was a false flag operation. A CIA-style ploy for Sandy to get more people to like Missing the Cut, because its number of likes on Facebook went up exponentially as soon as he was going around shit posting through it.
I went from like 70 to 107. Like, I don't even know.
I'm very unofficially, but the White Book's also going to fucking promote the shit out of this new group. Basically, if you have a Thrones podcast you like, I'm assuming Wars to Come, since they're all banned from the other group too.
I'm the only one banned.
Alejandro's not banned.
CT didn't get banned.
He tried.
Yeah,
Alejandro
tried.
trying. CT is not banned.
It's only me that's banned. But I'm the moderator of the Wars to Come page. But here's the thing: I'm the main admin of the Wars to Come page, so I can't post in the group.
So we've got. Wait, hang on. We've got 3 Second Sons banned, right? Only one Wars to Come. Disappointing.
I tried, dog. Yeah.
Alejandro was too busy to get. He came at the wrong time when the ban hammer was
I
put
pulled
away.
over. I pulled over to the side of the road with the baby in the backseat to make my post. I was like, "Fuck, this isn't gonna last long. I can't believe they're doing this shit."
I'm gonna miss my chance at a ban.
I was supposed to be on the road going somewhere, and I just was like, "There's no way I'm leaving my computer right now."
Yeah, I had a lot of work to do today, and I got completely sidetracked by this bullshit.
I hope it eventually. So, I will say that I hope it eventually ends up being a good thing. I think what turned out to be just what. So they didn't give us a channel to do this in the right way. So we did it the wrong way.
Yep. I agree.
Which I'm not saying I was in the right. Probably shouldn't have posted it the third time or said the F word on a lot of other comments, or just buried them when he joined the chat. I didn't call him a fucking fascist pig, but
I mean, you don't have the kind of skill with the English language that Fred has.
Correct. But I hope eventually this becomes a thing where we can get new admins in there, or maybe this new group can spark, not as controversial subjects for the admins or whatever. I just think that it was just more pent up aggression. And if anyone was offended by anything I did or said today, I do apologize. It was definitely not my intention to hurt the community. But it just happened.
This is the difference between Jesse and myself. Because if anyone was offended by anything that I said or did today, you can go fuck yourself.
Correct. Correct. That's why I love you.
Sounds like a campaign for mod, Jesse. Jesse's looking for a...
No, they won't get that shit
Jesse
from me.
2018.
Wait. I don't think, much like you guys were optimistic about that other bullshit, I'm fully optimistic about that. I think having an active community with active mods that's more close-knit only helps grow the game in a real way. I think having that giant group, it was easy to get lost. It was easy to not know where to start, who to talk to. I think a smaller, more tight-knit group without like literally 3,000 inactive people that just are there and confused is nothing but better for all of us. Long live Super Serious Revolution.
The name eventually probably needs to be changed for newer players.
I agree, and I'm interested in taking suggestions. So if you have a suggestion for a more permanent name, definitely send it my way, and we'll do a poll or something at some point to get that selected. But right now, it felt appropriate.
There's a few AGOT pages out there, so
it could also just be a Game of Thrones second edition, right? Like. Right out the goddamn word.
It's
the problem is, I think we want to make it clear and distinct, at least in terms of the difference between the two.
Yeah, but
someone invite Danny Schaefer to this group, and then we'll just make it the official one.
Yeah, Danny's already in.
It's the official one. He's not in the other one, is he?
Yeah,
he was in.
No, I added him today.
Ritter is definitely there.
Danny's in the other
group. Is he?
Danny's in there. He just doesn't say anything.
Do we have Evan yet?
Yeah, he doesn't say anything at all.
He probably doesn't follow it because half the time people are just like, "What a shitty fucking designer!" Look at this card. Is this card cool?
Jesse, do we have Evan?
Yes.
Evan's at every.
Evan has been in there forever.
Yeah. It's literally his job to follow all these groups.
Evan's
what we're saying.
Evan's the player that's like an actual degenerate Thrones player that works there.
Yeah,
Evan actively.
Him and
plays.
Ritter plays a lot too.
So we have everyone that we know of that's actually active. Someone want to add Nate? Now we'll make Will do that.
Nate's been in. He's been in.
Yeah.
Nate prefers to post in it because it's not a mess. Like it's already a better group.
So what we're saying is like we're the group that FFG likes until they listen to this podcast. So we're totally.
Got seconded.
Ritter's in the chat.
FFG group. We're a
Ritter posted today.
I had a point. Oh, so do we want to start, speaking of the revolution, do we want to take some questions from that page? Buzz, how much time do we have before we got to kill the stream?
I need to take
We're already
my
like 40 minutes past buzzes.
Maximum 1 hour.
Okay. Oh, 1 hour from now? I have way less than that. So
that will be a 3-hour episode, homies.
I know. I mean,
so what are we? Worse to come?
If we go for 1 hour, then I will be close stream on my bike. Go.
All right. Yeah. So we'll take a few questions. So we'll start with one that I know Glazer will appreciate. Bohan asks, which players have the best ratio of thrown skill and karaoke skill?
Oh, I have actually a strong opinion on this now that I've been to the UK.
All right, you go first then.
So I know one player that has been on a singing show on TV. I don't know if she actually made it onto TV, but she was definitely like in the finals or whatever for that, and has made it to the top 8 of a national championship. So if anyone can beat that.
Well, who is it, Dick?
Oh, it's Rebecca from the White Walkers.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Rebecca's great.
Yeah, I have no idea. Go, Rebecca.
Does she dance like Luke Wortley or wear a romper?
Yeah.
No, I did try to get. I tried to get Richard
that's my
Walker.
pick.
I tried to get Richard Walker to sing "Hungry Like the Wolf" since he was playing a Stark deck, but instead he just did shots of Fireball with me. So I was like, "That's fine, I guess."
I knew I liked
Rebecca
Richard.
Do karaoke, and was she good?
Yeah, she did karaoke and she was very good.
That's impressive because I've heard a lot of karaoke from the community and it's all awful. So
I'm
impressed.
So the whole point.
I'm impressed by that.
So my pick is abso-fucking-lutely Jumbra. He was terrible. He had pride in it.
He's
got all the swagger. He's a monster of thrones. The answer is abso-fucking-lutely Jumbra. If you can sing karaoke, then you shouldn't be singing karaoke. That's the karaoke rule. I will also accept who said it? I think it was Schoenthal who picked Wortley. Also acceptable. There's no fucking way it's someone who was top of a singing competition. That's some bullshit. Try again.
It's respectable. I mean, I respect her talents.
Sure.
All right.
Karaoke, though. It's singing.
Sid.
Well, it's like saying I should win because I'm like a meme in Thrones gaming, even though I can't sing or play Thrones.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. Oh, top 8 national champion. You're so shitty. Get the fuck out of here.
Shut up, Sandy.
Man, we're all over
Unless you're willing
Sid,
to admit that the American meta is just better, and that's why you place over there, then stop talking.
We'll see how I do this weekend, son.
All right. Any other questions?
Sid, does anyone else have any opinions? Jesse.
I said Luke Wortley.
Wortley? Luke's a good choice. Dave Strome.
I've never seen Wortley dance.
No, Stromes tries too hard. I would take Amy Stromes as an answer. I would also take Andrew Kim. I always really enjoy Andrew Kim.
I was going to say the Kim.
The Hamilton karaoke.
The Kims are good.
The Kimpire is amazing at everything they do.
I love Bohan. I haven't seen him do karaoke. You got to do some more karaoke with Bohan.
Yeah, you did. He did karaoke at Gen Con.
I was obviously blackout drunk.
He was.
Okay. All right. Next question. Give me 1 second. Comes from Jesse Carpenter. Why do we think the GOAT agenda, which is
that guy's an idiot,
trading with the cohort,
you don't talk about
has
my
performed so well in
Jesse.
Europe but underperformed in the States? Is it just underrepresented, or do the metas differ so much that GOAT scares away Americans considering playing it? I'm going to throw this to our Jank
Buzz.
Master in Chief, Sid, then Buzz.
Wait, what was the question? Sorry, I was in the chat. What's the question?
All right, so the question is essentially, like, why do we think that Cohort has performed in Europe and it has underperformed in America? And now it's even underperforming in Europe. Like, do we just think that Cohort isn't as good as we thought it was? Or do we think people are scared of it and people are just teching too hard for it? Like, I'm actually kind of curious where it sits in the meta. That was kind of, like, it was a roundabout question, but that's kind of where. Or is America just fucking boring?
I think America's boring. I think there's still a ton of undiscovered, unexplored decks that can be pulled out of Cohort. I hesitate to ever speak about kind of what's happening in Europe and why, because I have no clue. But I'll say in America, I think people are just reticent. They look at Worths to Come and they're like, boom, bingo, easy. I can include a bunch of cool plots. Awesome. Cohort takes work. Cohort takes like testing and building and practice. And honestly, like there's like builders do not grow on trees out here, guys. All right. It's a thankless job building these decks. But yeah, I do not think we've seen the last of the agenda by far. I think a lot of people still would like to see it do some interesting things, myself included, and people that I build with. But yeah, I don't know why it's kind of fallen off suddenly in Europe after its initial kind of big upswing, led by Nico and his crew.
Well, it's Nico and Wama, right? So like 3 big ones won tournaments.
Right.
So Nico won with 2 different ones, and then Wama won with 1.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, like is it just Nico and Wama being that good, or is Cohort that strong?
Well, it didn't it win something in the States, Roy?
It won the Philly tournament.
It won Killing the Kings War.
Yeah. It had its like little momentary heyday. I mean, I love it. I'll play it.
I think it's amazing. I think it's really strong and just undiscovered.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know why people are reticent to play it. I really don't. I mean, and I think people who are like, oh no, are people who haven't played it. Like, haven't played it much. Sandy, don't shake your head, Sandy. You're still playing Builders, man. You're like a year behind. What are you doing?
Go ahead, Sandy.
You're welcome to come and beat me at any tournament.
I did at the last tournament we played at. I seem to remember you just like abjectly giving up in the game because you were like, I have no way to win. Blah.
Wasn't that when I was playing the deck?
Builders. You were playing Builders.
No, what tournament was this?
Vegas. The last time we played was Vegas.
Didn't I win that game?
No.
I got it.
No, Sid made top 4 with a very cool deck. Very cool. I like that deck. And
I made top 8.
He punted the game. All right, Buzz, I want to hear from you.
So, in our regional, it was Jacob versus Jacob with Barra Cohort versus Stark Cohort. And Cohort won.
Cool, everyone.
Woof. I think the initial success is definitely down to Nimer and Wama. They are really good players, and also it's not very easy to play against Gohor if you don't know it. So the initial success can also be people being surprised and like they don't understand their opponent, and then you lose. But I do think it might be the strongest agenda out there right now. But as you say, it needs solving. It's so hard to build, it's so hard to play, and it. But the thing is, it's even harder to play against.
So, I think, while that's mostly true, I think a lot of the decks in the meta, I was screwing around on Thrones DB for a while earlier in a conversation with Roy, and a lot of the decks, like whether they be like Targ Wars and Targ Crossing or Stark 18 different builds, X and Cohort and Wars, have the same like 45 cards, 45 to 50 cards, and then based on your agenda, you're choosing like those last 10 to 15 cards. I don't know what that means yet. I'm still working on it because, again, something that came to mind like literally in the past couple of days. But like that Cohort package requires extra skill to play, and it's not explicitly better than the Rush package or explicitly better than just being able to go pure good stuff and having the extra plots as your utility. Like, they're all, like, because the base of these decks is ultimately so similar, I think a lot of what they do at the end of the day comes down to playstyle and ease of use. And Cohort, while it might offer some interesting playstyle stuff, doesn't offer ease of use in a way that's necessarily immediately better than the other agenda options.
Sure.
I think people at the moment are building it quite wrong. One of the best things, and to me the most boring thing about it, is you have on-demand milk and C's when you need it. So if you play like 7 or 8 attachments, I don't think you'd need that many attachments. Some people play like 15 attachments, and I think it's too much. Because as Sandy says in the chat, attachments aren't that great, but there are great attachments.
Support of Harlaw, it's insane. I'm actually not kidding. It's very good.
There are bad attachments out there.
It's very good.
The King one and the Eric King one is fantastic.
Many people wants to play King in the North. If you can run 1x King attachment and you can just go search for it when you need it, it's amazing. So this
Ice and Turncloaks is cool too.
This toolboxy thing about it is just so great. But the issue is people are like building towers and using bad attachments in good ways. Sure, it's a cool agenda that way, that it enables you to play bad attachments in some way, but just playing it for that on-demand stuff is just the way, I think, plus some cheeky surprise stuff. And people aren't doing that yet, I think. So,
I think the key thing you said was it's a toolbox agenda. It's the most toolboxy agenda we've ever had in second edition, and I don't think everyone building with it understands that you can like attack metas with this agenda. You can come up with new combos with this agenda. Like it's really flexible in the hands of a builder who understands the meta really well, and it doesn't just become at that point like a milk and seized finder deck. You know, it becomes a deck that's flexible, that can have answers to what's happening in the meta, and that can find ways to play cards that no other deck can, and combo cards that no other deck can. Like the fact that Nico's little like combo wombo Daenerys deck is not getting more play is still kind of baffling to me, because I played around with it and it's good. It's crazy good. Like
I actually think it'll be everywhere at Worlds.
It's been mostly ignored, and I almost can't believe it, because it
does lose the builders though.
It's that good. In builders.
I'll make a bold statement about Cohort right here. I just like talking to Americans. Too, Jesse. I think that Cohort will be in the top 4 of US Nats this weekend, and I am not playing it. So I'm not saying I'm going to do it or anything. I think it will be a top 4 at US Nats. I know 2 very good players who are bringing a Cohort deck, and it is a very good deck. I have $0 to gamble with you, so I will not gamble. But I will. I think. Whatever you want. I really do think so. I'll text you the player after, Sandy, and you tell me if they're not going to make top 4.
So
okay, I think, without knowing the player, I'll say we can the next Worst to Come or second, whatever fucking podcast we're both on together next. One of us will apologize to the other and admit that the other has a better read of the fucking meta.
Yeah, I don't think there's any to make Gorher's top 4 that I would like it to be. I just don't see it.
I just messaged you, Sandy. Don't say his name out loud.
Yeah, there's no way.
So I think when
Cohort, I'm gonna shake. If he does, I'm gonna tell him, and he's gonna shame the shit out of you.
That's fine. This is a player that I have never beaten, so I don't. Yeah, it's not that he's a bad player.
He's very good.
It's not that they are a bad player.
It's not.
So I think when Cohort shakes out, it's going to end up being a very polarized agenda. This is my big claim here. I think it's going to end up a very streamlined, tight, no fun, low interaction toolbox agenda that basically is about targeting specific matchups and shutting them down. Things like cycling milk, but also broader attachments that have very niche uses, except in specific matchups. That's going to just flatten matchups and allow you to use the cards in your deck to sort of overwhelm your opponent, which I think that's what Stark Cohort points to, which is that you use the agenda to just tutor out stuff and then use your better characters than what your opponent has to just run them over. I think that's going to be one tool, like one group of Cohort decks, and that's going to be like Tyrell, Greyjoy, and Stark. And then there's going to be combo. And like this is like Platt, Scumbo King style combo that Nico's decks.
Don't worry, my heart and soul, Alex Black is back in the game.
Yeah, Alex Black style combo.
Those goddamn Italians will figure it out too. Do not worry.
Yeah. Where it's highly uninteractive in the opposite sense, right? If one version of Cohort is all about you aren't going to be able to do the things your cards are supposed to do, the other one's going to say you're not going to have the time because I'm going to dump a bunch of attachments on Danny or the Viper or whatever, and I'm going to tutor them out very quickly, and you're fucked. And because I'm going to win on turn 2, I'm going to need 1 turn to set up, and I'm going to win on turn 2 70-80% of the time. And I think
you don't have the draw you used to, but right now, today, I won a game on the Iron Throne, turn 3 with Viper and Queensguard.
Jeez.
It's there. Like, as soon as we find more draw, like, I just found my pieces quickly.
Wait, did you say turn 3?
Turn 3.
Oh, you've already lost versus Rush, man.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, I literally threw the deck together, and it was complete garbage in 5 minutes, and just played it. Like, because I made it as a joke last night with CT, but, like, and then I built it today. But, like, I'm telling you, like, the agenda will just... Degenerate combo will come from this, for sure. Oh, why did we get a Tyrell card? I mean, like I'm just saying, like, the shit is coming. Like, it's going to be degenerate.
And we're not far from 1 turn kill combo again. And
not far.
There'll be no new cards to answer it for 3 months, which is definitely going to grow the meta. Stay positive, guys. Continue.
I believe I made exactly that prediction earlier.
So I think
I know. I
think the other part of this though is Rush is not going anywhere, particularly now that Stark Rush has proven itself to be highly consistent. You can look at its results on both sides of the pond, and it's gonna just end up being very polarized, like where you have Rush targeting these fast strategies in the sense that they can go from very low power totals to very high power totals in a single turn, but don't necessarily do it like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. They have to find pieces, but Rush doesn't have to do that. and it's going to have those strategies, those sort of combo-ish strategies, are going to push mid-range decks out and are going to push other things out. So we're going to end up being in this sort of race between
rush
combo mid-range.
But like you guys all say that, and then we're gonna have that in 3 months. But like those 3 months, let's not forget that Sea of Blood comes out in that box.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sea of Blood is insane.
Aggro gets its best tool ever, right? I mean,
if you don't think Wasau is gonna break Sea of Blood, you're insane. Like that is their favorite card they've ever seen.
Sure, but we're not gonna. But the problem is, and like besides War. I don't know if we see Wasau during Star Championship season.
I mean, I will. I'll go up there and see what they're brewing.
Fair, bye. But for most of the community, like, there's not, like, it's all smaller local stuff. And, like, it's going to take some doing to beat those really fast decks. Like, really fast decks don't tend to care about your targeted kill, man. It's like, oh, man, ooh, you sure did get that put off. All right, I got 6 more power.
Stark doesn't care. Lannister cares a lot, though.
I don't think so. I think Lannister runs 1 or 2 different plots and just shrugs.
We'll see. I mean, we build together a lot, Glazer. I'm sure we'll play a few times. You can build Rush, and I'll build Sea of Blood. Let's see what happens.
No, I'm not building Rush. Dark Nudge builds Rush. I'll keep building control decks that have no place in that.
Dark Nudge will build Rush. I'll play it. That's basically what we do now.
Yep.
As of literally.
And then I'll build whatever passive power aggro bullshit. And then it'll lose to the Rush deck, and then I'll still be like, I can't put Lord of the Crossing in a sleeve. I just can't do it.
All right.
That's why you play with the acrylic cards.
Fuck that.
You know, since Jesse brought up Sea of Blood, let's answer Jess Thompson's question. What is the best kill spell in the game?
Timid.
Before or after Sea of Blood?
Yeah, we put to the sword because of Sea of Blood.
Yeah, if Sea of Blood is out, it's
Bolted Flare is the best kill.
No, it's guys. It's obviously Naga's ribs.
Frey Hospitality.
Or possibly
give it to the Drown
coming
God.
out of the dead pile.
Just kidding. No, Drown God's bad. So.
It's Daenerys. She's ultimately the best kill spell in the game. I don't want her to be, but she is. Like, I'd really love it to be Archfield, but Daenerys is the best kill spell in the game. I mean, until we
all
get
the top target decks don't even run Daenerys anymore. You're 3 months behind.
One of the top 2 or 3 ones at UK Nats or somewhere. Give me a sec, I'll find it. Literally, one of the top 3 decks at a recent major tournament was a regular Targ Burn Force. It did better than you.
No.
Didn't win, but did better than you.
There was a Targ House of Dreams that Rebecca was running.
No, there's
a Marine. I mean, Malucci. Which Malucci in the Marine that he was playing was he was running Danny, right? New Danny.
That's Bratz's deck. That's the one that Bohan ran at Gen Con.
There's one, but also finding it. Sorry, Thrones TV is not the fastest goddamn website. You guys can go on while I find it.
So a bit more serious of a question.
Can we seriously, while we're on a podcast, like, hey, whoever's like, can we really fucking get this website working? Sun and Stars, the Targ Wars is second at the Bristol Regional and top 16 UK Nets.
Yeah, that was that's Rebecca's deck, right?
I don't know. Chanel.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Warren won the Indy Regional and other Targ Wars that ran Danny. Yeah, you got nothing to stand on. Sorry. It's one deck that doesn't run Danny.
And that deck wins.
Sure.
Versus the other one.
Sure. I guess.
It's like saying there's only one Lanny deck that runs Crossing. Yeah, there is. And it also happens to be the best one.
If you say so. Like, I'm not convinced it's the best Targ deck. It's a good Targ deck. But, like, I'm not ready to pronounce it better than either the HRD Marine or the Wars yet.
I agree. I don't think it's been proven to be, like,
it may be, but, like, it's not, like, there's no comparison or discussion to be had here. That's ridiculous.
Landing Crossing being the best Lanny deck is arguable. It won Kubla, and then Lanny Wars won 2 good-sized regionals, so... I disagree.
All right.
I think
whatever.
So our final discussion point, because I do need to go to bed. I have to do new student orientation tomorrow. Is not so much a question. I think it's a card we should discuss, which is Mira Reed. There's a bunch of questions about her. She was spoiled by, I believe, the White Walkers. She is a 2-cost Shadows 1 strength military intrigue icon with stealth. She has a reaction after a Stark character is sacrificed, return Mira Reed to Shadows. And then she has a reaction after she comes out of Shadows, choose a character. They're printed. It's a Nightmares effect, but only on characters and only until end of phase. So, what do we think of the return of every first edition player's favorite card?
Excluding traits is good. Excluding non-characters is good. So I think it's fine now. It's less shitty than
she's
it
Shadow
was.
1, by the way. Just to be, I don't think I said that.
I think she's a little too balanced, honestly. I could do with her being a little stronger.
I wish it would hit other things. I wish it hit locations and attachments still.
Me too.
I think. Go ahead.
I think if you see her on the setup,
solid with solid attachments
than she was at first. Like, I think Wyman makes her really, really, really strong. And if you don't have to pay that initial 2 gold, you're paying it on setup. Just bringing her out every challenges phase for 1, sacrificing someone with Wyman, which most Stark decks are trying to do anyway. Trying to do at least 1 Wyman trigger, maybe more. 1 gold is pretty easy to find. 2 gold is pretty easy to find. And the fact that you're trying to do several Wyman triggers means that this girl is going to be doing a lot of work. And she has stealth on an icon that Stark really wants stealth on. And even faster Stark builds want. So she's pretty good.
Will's question?
Yeah.
If she enters play through Flea Bottom and then enters Shadows, does she leave play? Like, she doesn't go to the bottom of the deck.
Correct. Yeah, she stays in Shadows.
She leaves play. Shadows is an out-of-play area. Yeah.
So you can actually bring her in with Flea Bottom. You can sacrifice her to Breaking Ties, then bring her in with Flea Bottom, then put her into Shadows, then bring her out of Shadows and blank somebody, and then she stays in play.
Yes.
That costs you like 2 gold.
Her stats and abilities have been nerfed a little bit, but the fact that Shadows is different, you had to do that. Like, on the surface, she looks less powerful than the old one, but the fact that Shadows is any phase now, it completely changes the game with her, and she's great.
She was always anytime, Sid. She was always just
until the end of the game where they changed.
She was errata right at the end, but she spent 3 years as literally the only Shadows card, which made her even crazier. 2 Shadows was whatever the hell you want.
Guardian.
Yeah, but she's easier to put back into Shadows now.
And
no, she's harder. It was any Stark card leaving play.
Yeah,
I think.
But we didn't have as many sacrifice mechanics as we do now. Like, it's easier to make a character lose play than it was in 1 edition.
Yeah.
She also gets killed by Blood of the Dragon now, which she didn't in 1st edition.
She gets killed by anything Danny ever wants to do. Ever.
Yeah, but she blanks Danny when she comes out. So
she's much. So I don't think that's what weakens
Danny,
her.
Right?
No. What weakens her is that she's only more than anything to me. She's only sacrificed that. And when she was leaves play for a Stark character before, right?
Yes.
Or was it just it was leaves play? That was way.
I think the card is. I think from someone who didn't play 1.0,
not as much sack.
I think the card is
okay. If she had a blank text box except for when her first reaction, if she had just a blank text box except for first reaction, she'd still be pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
I didn't play 1.0 at all, and I think the card is insanely good. I know only half this cast cares about it, but I think in Melee, I think she's incredibly oppressive. Like, very, very good. She will just push whatever agenda you want to be pushed across. I think she's very good. I don't know, like, doesn't seem like she has quite the same power level as she had in 1.0, where it was just like the worst card in the game forever. It's just how I hear nightmares about her. But like, I think if you see Mira or if you see a card in Shadows and Wyman on setup, you're gonna be like, ah, fuck. But like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think she's like so oppressive that it's going to be a problem. I just think it's going to be annoying. Like Shadow City Bastard is fucking annoying. But like Flea Bottom weakens a lot of this, right? Like with Flea Bottom, she's 10 times worse, correct or wrong?
10 times worse, like worse, stronger, like annoying.
Yeah, like
or worse.
Yeah, like better, worse for the game. She is way better, worse for the game.
Yes.
So without Flea Bottom, like she's just a really good card, and I'm fine with that. It's just the oppression of Flea Bottom and Breaking Ties that will annoy me with it, not her specifically.
Well, and just
I mean, Wyman is fine, but like it's not like you need more sacrifice effects in Stark. Like
I agree.
Yeah.
I just think in particular her interaction with Wyman is like extremely, extremely powerful and consistent. And I think that it will end up being somewhat oppressive. Particularly to target burn strategies, like it turns your Drogon, the new Drogon, into a ridiculously expensive monocon that doesn't even have the strength of the mountain.
I mean, Drogon gets one chance against me, dog. I'm gonna Dragonbind that motherfucker for sure. He gets one shot out the gate. That's it.
Welcome back, Mira.
Welcome back. I'm happy to see her. I'm going to be printing an alt art with my Mira.
Mira is a good puppy.
I'm happy. I'm fine with her. I think she's great.
Is anyone on here with their like Stark loyalists in 1.0? Like, is anyone actually excited about Mira to be in the game?
I am.
I named my dog.
Yeah.
She's
I'm
always
genuinely
been fun
excited
to
about Mira to be in the
play
game.
with, but not
I know Nate
against.
Tarantelli's excited, and that excites me.
I like Mira. I think Mira's a healthy card.
Yeah, I think she's a balanced, powerful card. Like
I hate Rush, and I feel like she just slows down Rush, and I think that's cool.
Okay.
Like she does a lot of other things too, but she really slows down Rush.
Yeah.
So with King in the North, with Vince's card, with Mira Reed, do we trash our Varys cards now, or?
I'll tell you this. Round 1 at Lord of the Crossing, I Vinced to Varys, and it was the best goddamn feeling in the world. I literally... You want to scoop now? Like, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm going to win in plot phase next turn.
I had 3 character abilities canceled with Vince over like 2 phases, and if I hadn't been playing a guy I really like, I would have just fucking... God, I was so mad. I was so mad.
Did Vince send you a signed card for me?
Oh, I was going to keep it, but yes, I have one for you.
Yeah. After every round, I would just message Vince. I love you so much.
He was sitting next to me, and he's like, "Oh, remind me, I have to give Jesse a card."
It's my favorite card in the game for fucking sure. Well, I mean, Timmet always will be there.
But do you know what's really good against Timmet?
Breaking Ties. Fuck.
Yeah, but, I really wish champ cards were a little more regulated in this game.
I mean,
just make cooler cards for regular cards.
To be fair,
keep
to Vince,
printing shit.
They at least thought about all of the stupid interactions that Vince can do, and he is extremely powerful, particularly the cancel. But they did at least remember the max 1 per round.
Oh my god! Someone was trying to argue that was a bad thing, and I was like, "Are you?" Like, I couldn't even respond to that. Like, all you need is 2, and then you win the game forever. Like,
I will tell you this: if it was more than max 1 per round, like I would maybe not even play Drowned God. I would feel so bad. It would legitimately be like the old cudgel. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, Vince's card is very good.
It's not that it's good in Drowned God that bothers me. It's that it's
good in Greyjoy. I don't play Drowned God.
It's another fucking nail in the coffin of control. They print anti-control card after anti-fucking control card after anti-fucking control card. And like, all I want to do is play some fucking control. And they're like, here's some more answers for everything you like about the game. And it's just really fucking...
So, is the problem...
Greyjoy, though.
But it's not control. What control are you showing me? Just play the opposite of control.
Glazer, is the decision to make the best control tools characters, right? Like Varys was an event in first edition, which means that like interaction on the character level, right? So
Fnatic will straight up any control builder.
We need Vesper's bleeds before events. We need Vesper's bleeds before we get control back for sure again.
There needs to be more control events.
Yes. Yes.
Why not just run Burning the Dead?
Shut the fuck up. Cut the fucking stream.
I mean, it lives in your hand, right? Like, it's in your hand when it's a problem. Nothing is a problem. Nothing solves that.
Except for Seen in Flames and Viper Eyes. I mean, whatever. You're right. Nothing solves that. There's no way to discard cards from hand.
A smart Greyjoy player is not welcome into that, but that's fine.
No, I mean,
he needs to make power challenges.
What?
Yeah, Roy, how did you used to beat Martell when you had important things in your hand?
You just do intrigue challenges if you do any challenges.
Just do intrigue challenges and fucking wait. They can't stop you. Just fucking wait.
Until it doesn't matter.
Pull that. Yeah, until you can just fucking.
Maybe you need to play Laney control, and then you can treachery his ability.
Yeah.
Also, you could just play Laney and trial by combat, so get your militaries off, dog.
Well, yeah. Look at all of these not control decks you guys really want.
I'm sorry that you only like Martell. Martell is a fucking garbage house and deserves to be at the bottom.
I like lots of
control. Control is done. Thank God.
Yeah, control is very done.
You can literally just put a point dead on Temet and get everything you fucking want. Just play Clansman.
I tried that, Jesse. How did we all do it that tournament?
Second building orders. All right, so I have to go to bed because I have to run new student orientation tomorrow. We're going to sign out now. It was amazing to have you, Jesse Carpenter, joining us again.
Thanks so much.
I feel like the third consecutive episode. I want to join. This was our largest live stream audience in a good long while, so I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank our podcast listeners. Our next episode will be likely Tuesday the 11th. So we will see you then. And don't forget that you can watch Sid and I do the live draft on this channel.
Hey, Trey didn't sign up.
September 8th.
Trey didn't sign up. Trey's not coming?
No.
For what?
Trey was going to come all the way to Philly? Or to New York?
Yeah, Philly. Trey's not coming? Man, we need a new biggest fan. That's cold. I would have thrown my whole budget at Trey.
Good night, everybody.